So today's learning is titled Yocheved Enters the Promised Land. Her legacy, or was she 250 years old? So as we're approaching the time where Moses is 120 years old and he's soon to pass on, and then he's passing on the leadership to Yeshua, to Joshua, but he is going to pass away. He's going to have a kiss of death by God. We know that his legacy has continued on with us, and also the legacy of his siblings, of Miriam and Aaron. But what about the legacy of his mother Yocheved, who had the vision, the foresight to put her son in a basket of reeds to float down the Nile River? She hid her son for 3 months and then put him in a basket, and it's actually called a teva, the same word for Noah's Ark. Who is this exceptional woman, and what is the folklore around her, the Midrash? It says that she entered Egypt and left Egypt, and she also entered the Promised Land. So today we're going to look at some text around this and see, is it her legacy that continued on and entered Eretz Yisrael, or did she in fact herself enter the Promised Land at the age of 250? So in the Torah, there are times that one person's name changes to another name. We might have all in our life have like our name that we go by in secular circles and our name in Torah settings, in synagogue or in Jewish day schools or at Jewish camp. And so too, there seems to be something interesting that happens, that a person can have more than one name, or their name changes in different chapters of their life. And so sometimes it could be that it's two different people, or sometimes it could be the same person with two different names. Sometimes it could be someone also has just the same name, that there's multiple people with the same name. And so it's always interesting, we have a list of name in the Torah to figure out who is who, and could they have different names. Soon we're going to be reading Parshat Lech Lecha, and there's a name change that happens there. So Sarai becomes, and Abram becomes Abraham. So we're going to look at here now and see what is going on with this name here that is Sirah, that often people attribute to Yocheved. So if someone can read for me the first box on the page.
Asher sons, can't pronounce this. Imaha, Ishava, Viv, and Brahel and their sister Sarah. Brahel's son Hebron and Michael.
Yes, so these names are always like, how do you pronounce them? And also because the Torah, there isn't vowels. We were talking before that in the Torah, it's always that famous line, would you like to buy a vowel? So we're guessing at how we might pronounce their names. So this name here, Sarah, is often attributed to Yocheved, that this is her who is entering Egypt with the 70 individuals that joined Yaakov when they came to Egypt. And I'm going to read the second box. It's from the Torah, a Woman's Commentary. And their sister, Sarah. Zilpah, one of Jacob's wives, had borne 2 sons, Gad and Asher. The later became the father of 4 sons and 1 daughter, Sarah. Sarah is the only daughter of any Jacob's sons mentioned in this genealogy of those who went to Egypt with Jacob. Sarah's name appears again in Numbers, where she seems to be counted also among those leaving Egypt some 400 years later. And in Chronicles, the Bible also mentions another of Jacob's granddaughters, Yocheved, daughter of Levi. She is born in Egypt. So there seems to be now, is this the same person that has different names, but then the name change? Or are they 2 different people, and how are they linked? So there's a lot of folklore around this and a lot of guessing of what could be happening. There also is in our Midrash, sometimes that people are reincarnated. So very soon on Yom Kippur, yes, Yom Kippur is coming up, we're going to read a story about Jonah and the big fish. And Jonah is supposed to go to Nineveh to speak to the king there. And the Midrash is that this king is actually a reincarnation of another famous king. Does anyone know about this?
Pharaoh.
Exactly. It's supposed to be that this is Pharaoh. Some say that Pharaoh actually never died in the splitting of the Red Sea and then the subsequent of the waves crashing down, that he actually was the one survivor of this, and that he lived all those years and shows up in Nineveh, and others say in the Midrash that he was reincarnated. And it's seen as a chance that where he didn't do teshuvah in the story of Exodus, he does do teshuvah in the story of Yonah and the big fish. So there's something going on here between these two individuals. Are one reincarnated of the other? Are they linked? Are they the same person? And also, what about this years? Because here it's 400 years. So it's pretty amazing to think about, do people really live long lives? Do they calculate time differently? Do they eat healthier than us? So what is happening? So I'm going to read for us from Seder Olam Rabbah 9, because this is pretty interesting what it says here. It also lists the attributes of Yocheved's children and their subsequent connection to different miracles that we as the Israelites were saved by or experienced while we were in the desert wandering in the mud bid. So I'm going to start halfway through, and when Miriam died there and was not buried there, and there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered against Moses and Aaron. So from this, we can deduce that the well was connected to Miriam. And so when the well disappeared, it was year 40, and it was the first of the month of Nisan. So that is just something to connect to, that Yocheved's children all had special merits. As I said, these miracles allowed us to survive and to also thrive in the desert. So Miriam is the well. Then we have when Aaron the priest went up, and Aaron was 123 years old, and he died at the hill of the mountain. When Aaron died, the clouds of glory disappeared. So it is connected to that the clouds of glory that protected the Israelites, that protected us, we were in the desert, from the harshness of the sun or the harshness of wind and all the elements, were connected in honor of the merit of Aaron. And so we can see that Yocheved must have been a very exceptional person to give birth to these two incredible individuals that had these miracles associated and connected to them. And then obviously also with Moshe and everything that Moshe, what he was able to do to free us from slavery, to bring about the Exodus, and also to connect with God and bring us to Har Sinai and bring down the Seret Divrot. And so I want us to actually flip the page. And when there's more time, I hope that you'll have a chance to review this and look at this on your own. And when you turn now to, which will be the third page if you count 1, 2, 3. And it says, Sarah bat Asher was among those who came to Egypt and those who left it. She was from those who came to Egypt, as is written, and Sarah their sister. And that's what we just read from Bereshit or Genesis. And she was from those who came to the land of Israel, as it says. And they were the daughter of Asher, Sarah, Numbers. And Yocheved was among those who came to Egypt and those who left it. She was from those who came to Egypt, as it is written. And the name of the wife of Amram was Yocheved, daughter of Levi. Yair, son of Manasseh, and Machir, son of Manasseh, were born in the lifetime of our ancestor Jacob, and they died after the death of Moses, our teacher. So I think it's just interesting here to see, once again, what is going on here. Is Yocheved the daughter of a Levite of the tribe of Levi, of actually the original son of Levi, one of those that entered and left? Is she the same person as Sarah? Were there two people or reincarnation? Or is it just the legacy that is being passed down? There's another piece of Midrash we have that is connected to why it seems that she was still alive at the time of Moses' impending death, and where Moses is trying to advocate to God that he should live a little bit longer and survive and enter the land of Israel. So he mentions, and it's found in Midrash Devarim Rabbah, and it's here at the back. No. One second. So if we look at this box here where it says Midrash, so Master of the Universe, my mother, Yocheved's teeth were blunted by the death of two of her children in her lifetime. Will more of her teeth be blunted by my death? This argument too was of no avail. So this was one of the lobbying, the motions that Moshe was trying to make to God to say, please, my mother's already suffered 2 deaths of her children. Please don't let another death happen. And so it would seem odd that he would say this and notify and to God that his mother was still alive if in fact she was not alive. So if we also go to the next box, Devrim Rabbah, we see that this is pretty interesting. What we're gonna read here is about the legacy that is of these 3 individuals and how we connect to them. Moses summoned all Israel, and he said to them, "You have seen everything that the Lord performed before your eyes in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh, to all his servants, and to the entire land." Moses summoned all Israel. And the halakha is that when we're learning about this around the summoning of all of Israel, this related to when we summon individuals to come up for an aliyah. A person of Israel who stood to read the Torah is permitted for him to read fewer than 3 verses? No. So the taught the sages, one who reads the Torah may not do so with fewer than 3 verses. Our rabbis taught us. Why did they institute that he may not do this with fewer than 3 verses? We would think a famous 3 would be Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But in fact, it is connected to the legacy of Yocheved and her famous 3 children, that we have Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. Through them, the Torah was given. So when we think about, did it actually, she enter Israel? Or was it her legacy? Because even today, when we read the Torah, we see her legacy through her 3 children and how we don't read fewer than 3 verses. So I want to hear some thoughts before we do the last box of what people connect to around these individuals. And also someone mentioned another midrash over here that I want them to share if they want to, or I can share it, about when it came time to leave Egypt and it was time to bring Yosef's bones. So Yosef had made a promise, like Yosef had that, Jacob would be buried in Canaan, and also Yosef wanted the same thing to happen, that he should not remain buried in Egypt, that eventually should be returned to the land of Israel. So he had a promise be made to him that his bones would also be taken away when they left. And so when Moses was leaving or preparing to leave, everyone's like, there was the announcement, please leave as quickly as you can. Pharaoh's like, just go. It's the middle of the night. It said that even the dogs didn't bark. Everyone's scrambling to get all their belongings, also anything else that they need to take in reparations, anything that they need. They're not even time to have the matzah to fully rise. And Moses is looking for Yosef's bones, and he doesn't know where to find them. And it says that he approaches someone named Sarah approaches him, and she gives him some ideas.
So there's this lady named Sarah who was given a long life. I don't know how long. I think probably Rabbi. No, he doesn't know. Yes, he does. He's giving us a Bobby Maisa. And this lady was granted a long life for this purpose, to know where Mamash, the bones, were when they left. She gives it to him.
Yeah. So she takes them to the Nile River, and she says the bones are in the Nile. And then Moses, who has a special connection to the Nile helps save his life. The bones rise up from the Nile River, and then Moses is able to carry them out. And you think about what the Israelites, the kavod, the honor they gave to these bones of Yosef, wandering through the desert. They were in the desert for 40 years. Most likely we were settled in one place for most of that time. Some say 38 years. So maybe we're only moved for 2 years, but imagine, you're carrying these bones of your ancestor around, and all the items for the tent of meeting, and all the items for the Mishkan. And you think about what was also in the Aron. We read today, this morning, that there was the Torah that Moses wrote, and the broken tablets, and the whole tablets, the second set. So there was a lot they were carrying around. We were holy schleppers.
We haven't changed at all since.
Yeah, so there's a lot we can think about. Was it this magical ability that this women could be 2 different women or 1 woman and they had long life, Sarah and Yocheved, or something else going on? People were named in the honor of someone, their ancestor, and that information, that secret was passed down with them, and that's the legacy. And so I think it's interesting for us to think about what is our own legacy of what has been passed down to us on Shabbat Shuvah, and also during the Seseret Yemei Teshuvah, during these 10 days of repentance. What legacy have we been given that we want to continue to pass on? What special honors have been passed on to us? You know, what kavod, what honor are we carrying? And how do we make sure that it's an honor and not a kaved, a weight? You know, when they were carrying Yosef's bones through the desert, it was an honor, but it might have also been heavy. But how do we look at what legacy we've been given? Is there any way to transform it from a weight into an honor? And what legacy do we want to also bequeath to others? What do we want to be known for? What do we want to do to inspire more good in the world? How do we want our midot, our actions, our characteristics to represent us and also be what people know about us, reputation before they even meet us? And is the legacy that we also want to have to be known for creating opportunities for youth or for literacy, for food and shelter, clean water? So thinking about this today, we're looking at Yocheved, of what legacy she has left for us today that still inspires us today through her children, through her actions, that we're here today, physically, spiritually, and also what the legacy we want to do in her honor. And this might feel like a tall task, so I want to tell us a tale so that we don't feel a little too overwhelmed, and that's the final box. Does someone want to read it for us, the Hasidic tale of Reb Zusha?
Reb Zusha was lying on his deathbed, surrounded by his disciples. He was crying, and no one could comfort him. One student asked the Rebbe, "Why do you cry? You were almost as wise as Moses and as kind as Abraham." Reb Zusha answered, "When I pass from this world and appear before the heavenly tribunal, they won't ask me, 'Zusha, why weren't you as wise as Moses or as kind as Abraham?' Rather, they will ask me, 'Zusha, why weren't you Zusha? Why didn't I fulfill my potential? And why didn't I follow the path that could have been mine?'"
Right, so it's very fitting for the holidays because we're talking about legacy, and we don't have to be anyone else but ourselves. The legacy that we want to step into for this new year should be who we are and our own purpose and our own role, reflecting our own passions. We don't have to be anyone else but ourselves, but we know that we're going to be asked, why were we not fully ourselves? And so we can think about this also on Yom Kippur, when we're standing up and the ark is open, we can ask ourselves, who am I meant to be? And how can I be that more fully?